you are, who would it be and why?
You already know my answer, so I'm going to go
I know
first.
your
I'm gonna go
answer.
first. I 100% would be Diane. I would literally be Foxington because she's so hot and cool, and I want to be her, and I want to I want to date her and be her.
I actually think you're channeling her energy right now.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's the best thing anyone's ever said to me.
I think for me, honestly, I was going to say, let me just, Snake. I think I would really like to play Snake because I just feel like he's really going through it and having a hard time. And I don't know, I kind of want to be there for him and with him.
Did you have a favorite scene in the movie?
Ooh, a favorite scene.
Favorite scene. Let me think.
Oh, okay, I have one.
Go,
okay.
go.
I love this scene when Mr. Wolf is saving the kitty, but he's actually saving it, and it just kind of made me emotional. I don't know, it kind of really hit me hard, much harder than I expected, but yes, good does you good, and then the little kitty becomes his friend. I love that, because I think I have a cat, and the way she was meowing was like, oh, that's my cat. So,
For me, I thought what was most enjoyable for me was that all the comedy that made me laugh out loud. I knew it was going to be good, it was going to be funny, but as an adult, I was like, oh, maybe I'll think it's cute, but I thought it was hysterical at moments, and I think the guinea pig scene for me was like peak comedy, where I saw that in the script, but to hear it performed and see the visuals, it all came together so well, so probably that scene.
The butt jokes landed
I forgot about the butt jokes. The butt jokes were great also.
Apparently they went back and forth a lot on whether or not they were going to keep the butt jokes, but those ended up always getting the biggest laughs.
Absolutely.
So they were like, I guess we're keeping them.
Yeah, you never told her butt jokes.
What would be your advice for young women having to deal with judgment if they're maybe trying to do something different or trying to do something new and they have to deal with that?
I think, and this is actually sort of what I took away from the film really, is, these other people aren't leading your life. So you really kind of have to dictate what you want to do and what you want to bring into the world. And I do find anytime that, if you do feel like you want to do something a little different or new and other people are naysaying you, I do find sort of anytime that has happened to me, when I go for it, the people that accept that you are the people that you end up also attracting in your life, and you end up opening so much more for yourself, and you find out that you're so much more resilient than you thought you were, and then that judgment almost feels negligible. That being said, of course, it's very vague. What does judgment mean? So I think it all depends on the situation, naturally. But I think in sort of broad terms, I would say you got to just kind of go for it. And, they're not leading your life. You are.
Yeah. I think for me, I've analyzed judgment a lot, having a career. I'm sure you might agree. You're bloggers. There's a lot of people online that have a lot of opinions. So a lot of my career was founded on just people commenting on every part of my life. And so I had to really think about judgment and analyze it. And what I concluded was that judgment involves someone else telling me what they think the truth is. And then the reason it would get to me was because I would then give them permission to tell me that. So I would give people who have never met me permission to tell me who I was. And so in that equation, the part where someone else tells me something, that's probably not going to change. I can't control that person. But what I can control is me giving that person permission. And that's what I've been trying to work on, is being like, you know what, I actually no longer give you the permission to tell me this about my life. You can keep doing it, but it doesn't hold that value to me anymore. So I think that's really what has helped me, is not giving them that power and instead placing that power within me. What teachings does this movie leave us with? Yes.
Do you want to take this?
Yeah, sure, yeah. I think this movie is so timely because, especially with the internet and just the way headlines and media and all that stuff goes down today, everything is usually very black and white. It's usually good, bad, yes, no, wrong, right. And I don't think humans can operate in these extremes. I don't think people belong in one category or the other. I think people exist in this gray area of they need context. And I think this movie teaches you that bad guys aren't just bad. Everyone has context. Everyone deserves context. Everyone has lived experiences. And I think we owe it to ourselves to treat each other like human beings. And even though these are all animals in the movie, I think it is really about human nature and how we love to easily define and label. And we don't need to do that. We don't need to be that lazy. We can give people context.
I completely agree with that. I also think that this movie encourages you to, to be your highest self, whatever format that is, and to not allow an expectation or narrative around you to dictate what you're going to do with your life. And I think that it encourages, as we were sort of discussing before, breaking out of molds that were made for you and to create your own mold. And I think that that's important as well.
This is so fun. I love
like
this,
and it's very structured.
I love it. It's so fun.
What was the hardest challenge that you guys took in this movie?
I think the hardest challenge for me really was finding Diane's voice. So, it took a few sessions before we really honed in on her character and, making her nuanced and introducing her background into who she is today. And for me, I'm always like, you can always feel when you're like, oh, it's not quite working and we're trying to figure it out. And so, I think it was like the first 2 sessions, it was like, I don't know if we're totally landing this character. And then once we finally did, it was so clear. And then we ended up kind of retaping a bunch of stuff. So for me, that I think was the hardest part for me.
I think for me, I'm not coming from the interwebs. I'm not used to things taking so long. You know what I mean? And so we've been doing this voiceover work for like 3 years probably. So it took such a long time to do. And each time I would do a session, I'd be like, wait, what is this scene about? Like, what is this what is this part of the story? So trying to put myself back there every time. And I think that's when we actually saw the movie, we're like, oh yeah, this is the movie. This is what it was the whole time.
Oh.
But that was a little tough that it's such a lengthy process. I mean, rightfully so. Animation is really, really hard work. But that was tough for me to put myself back in that headspace again after months and months would go by in between sessions.
What advice would you give to someone who would want to go into voice acting?
Ooh, that's a very specific. I usually get asked about entertainment, but voice acting specifically, I would say for me, what makes voice acting really fun is giving myself the permission to play and be free. And that's why I love voice work so much, because you're not restricted by someone else's performance. You're not restricted by like gravity or physical sets. You really can make this world in your mind, and you can take things as high and low and outrageous as you want to make them. I would say my advice would be, if you want to get into voice acting, try to practice that principle in other things in your life of being free and letting your imagination soar. Whether it's like trying new things, whether it's how you hang out with your friends, the types of conversations you have. Really open yourself up, and that'll really help in voice work, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything?
No, she asked you.
Oh, okay. Am I? What? No.
How both of you relate to your characters?
Yes, I think that I would hope that I have I guess I hope I'm a good person like Diane, but that I can also not take everything so seriously. I think it can be easy to, want to be good moral and want to do this and be the best and, at everything. But I think it's important to remain grounded and to also understand that having sort of a mischievousness about you can also be an asset, and I think that all character traits have a place in the world. I mean, hence Inside Out is a great example of that, right? Like sadness has its place, naughtiness has its place as well, I think, or playfulness, I guess, is another word for that. And so, yeah, I would hope that I have a little bit of that inside of me as well, in the way that I think Diane does.
My answer is less eloquent. We're both really extra. My character and I are so extra. We're both over the top. I think I tapped into a lot of my earlier YouTube days when I did Tiffany, which is like the extreme expressions and the lots of hand motions and the exciting tone and the cadence that's kind of roller coaster of like, oh my God, you won't believe this. This is amazing, to try to get people's attention, which is like kind of YouTube in a way. So I think I tapped into a lot of just that performative, exciting, over the top, crazy energy.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
And last question, Christy.
So I'm Christy from Raising Wations, and I wanted to know, gosh, everyone touched on like so many of my questions, about just ad-libbing and if you guys got the opportunity to maybe insert a line that maybe wasn't there before, or a scene that got a little something extra because you guys are so extra. And I wanted to in there.
I would be hard pressed to find a scene that doesn't have that. I think that is sort of the whole point, I guess, in voice work, and in particularly, I think, in who they chose to cast. I think they really wanted us to flavor the characters. I love how you've been talking about Tiffany and how you shaped her, and I feel like for Diane, as I mentioned earlier, it took some time to find her, and I think through play and through me just riffing and throwing things in there and just changing my tone and changing lines off the cuff is what ultimately allowed us to really chisel her into who she is now. And yeah, so I would say all the scenes, especially for me, the ones with the Mr. Wolf character, where it's like bantery and it's just kind of back and forth, and so the reactions have to feel quite fresh, and so I think we would just throw stuff in. So yeah, all of it I would say is quite.
Yeah, and just to add on, I think the team and Pierre, the director, is so open to people playing. How would you do it? Add your own flair to it. So I felt super welcomed and comfortable riffing and adding a little bit of flavor to all the lines, because creativity was the goal at the end of the day, and no one was really precious about the exact words on the page, as long as it felt right, which is always a nice to work with.
Did you come up with a stereotype line, or was that right?
I didn't come up with the stereotype. My favorite line. I did not come up with that line, but I did gasp when I read it, because I was like, this is genius. But for example, I knew I didn't want her to just be a straightforward reporter, so she starts to be like, what up? She does all this, all that stuff is just me goofing around in my booth, and then be like, yeah, do that. So.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, so great.
Yeah,
Chatting with all of you.
have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Lily and Zossi will be pulling you back.
Cool.
Sounds good.
That was